Hi guys, it's a long time no see. It's Wise Dragon Comics. So I'm going to bring you guys a little mini practice manga lesson for you. This one is going to be basic steps to showing depth in line art, darkening corners and edges, and basically what I'm referring to is when you draw something and you want to show a little bit of depth, like between an arm or a leg or something like that. And I'll do a quick sketch just to show you what I mean. And I'm going to focus on what it looks like when you ink it. So let's say you have a character like this. And I'm going to draw one just right next to it so I can keep the examples consistent. Alright, so now that we have the practice sketches done, what I'm actually referring to is when someone draws like an outfit on a character. I'm going to put some sleeves on them. There's two area focal points here that I'm gonna look at. Good old trusty eraser. So sometimes some of you draw what's known as like flat line art, and it doesn't look like something has it just looks like it's flat like a pancake and doesn't look like it's 3D, it just looks 2D. One of the easiest ways that people will give it more of a 3D look is to add, like I said, like some type of shadow or some type of line in certain areas to make it look like it has depth. Like let's take the way this hand is. It looks looks 2D, looks like flat, kind of like a pancake. But if you were to simply go add a little bit there, it looks like it has some depth to it. Same thing about this arm. If you were to add like a shadow to it or some lines, it looks like it like it's now 3D rather than 2D. So there's multiple ways to do this. one of my favorite ways is to either draw some lines around the area. Well, I'll draw some lines in an area that would look as if there's something behind it, but like a shadow is creeping from it. So if technically, if the arm per se, let me grab another piece of paper. If this person was, if you were to rearrange the camera instead of if you would rearrange your view and actually place this person a different way, you could say that the light, that's just some practice ink marks. You could say that the light was shining on him from this way. So if the light is shining here, technically what's happening is the rays are coming at the person. But right here, the top of the arm is actually getting hit by the rays. By the rays of light. But this bottom area is actually not getting hit by it, or most of it's blocked. So that's why you would get a shadow. Now, in the same light, you can either do lines, or if you wanted to just make a huge dark chunk, you could also do that. So rather than lines, actually just like almost color it in. Of course, an easier way is just to actually make it a few lines, just to basically make an area and then just put some lines in it. If you want it to be darker, you could actually make more lines and make them closer together, as if you were hatching. You could also do a hatch. If you wanted to. Or you could just make it solid black. Now I'm going to ink this in a little bit just to show a better example of it. But like I said, when I mentioned the light rays and how you would get the idea for it, let's pretend where the light was coming in was from over here, and your camera angle is looking at it from here. What you could also do is, let's say the person was from a different angle. If he was, technically his back is facing us, and his arm is actually raised a little bit outward. Rather than that 3/4 view of the other drawing, this one is actually showing what it would look like if you were directly behind him. And of course, I didn't give him an arm in the other picture, but I'll just draw it here. But if you were behind the guy, it will look something like this. So what's actually happening is you have a light source. This one is almost pretty much on its side, and as it's hitting, this part is actually being blocked. So you can actually, that's how you would get the idea of where to put your shadow at. Because if the lines are hitting here, light rays, well, this arm is blocking where the light will come for in this small little spot. So this is how where you would get the idea to put your shadow, which is where when you bring the other one back into play, you can see how the shadow is there. So now I'm going to ink it to give a better representation of how it'll look when you ink it. Alright, gonna use G pen. Put these pencils to the side. I'm gonna use IC Comics Super Black since that's my favorite ink. Alright, so go ahead and give it a brush off. So like I said, you can either use line technique, which that's what I'm going to show here. Also going to adjust my paper so I can do this a little better. One thing that I like to do is I'll draw sort of a circle. Well, not a circle, but I'll kind of outline the area that I want. And I won't bring my lines outside the area. You can do that if you have an artistic idea of how to make it look quite decent, but for this one I'm going to stick to simplicity here. And so now you can actually see how it looks 3D-ish, or it doesn't look flat like a pancake anymore. And if you wanted to hatch it, and I'll give an example of doing this, but let's say, like how we said, the light source was coming this way and this arm was blocking up under here. In the same sense, this area right here would also be blocked by the light. So you could also make the shadow here. Now this one, I'm actually going to do it without using the, without blocking it off like a fence and then making lines in the fence area. So normally what you can do is, instead of just trying to do it freehand, and one thing you can do is after you start inking, if the ink dries in a certain area, you can actually go near that area and draw something in pencil, even break some rules. So just because you put pencil on something and you started inking, oh man, it looks like I kind of smeared a little bit. It doesn't mean you can't go back and put, you know, re-pencil something or add a new detail with pencil. But what I would, one thing that's a good idea to do if you want to do it without a fence is just draw your fence in pencil, because you're going to erase the pencil anyways. That's one way to do it, or you can do it this way. I'm also going to ink another one that I just made, and I'm actually going to color it in all black so you can actually see what it looks like when you do it a different way. Cleaning off the G pen. All right, now I'm going to use a brush pen to fill that in. Okay, so colored it all in black. So now you can see it has a more solid look. And the way this is made, this actually just looks like a solid block. So when you do this, you will actually have to, the solid block is a little too strong. So what you can do is actually take that pencil over there. You can, if you thicken lines, Yeah, sometimes if something is too strong, you need to strengthen the other parts of the drawing or the line art to balance it out so it doesn't have such a strong effect, and it can mess up the entire drawing of what you're trying to do. I don't normally use brush pens, so it doesn't look that good. This will be where his other arm is. Now, of course, these were just examples made from the video, for the video, just to explain what I meant. But let me grab a couple of manga pages that I've worked on so you can actually see what it looks like when it's implemented in a better way. Well, this isn't a manga page, but this is just a illustration that I made. So, this right here is something I made the other day because I got bored. But the examples that I was referring to show depth, first I'll talk about doing a bit of hatching. So, as you can see, did a little bit of stylized hatching here. These are pants. She's not naked. And then you can see some just line work. More lines to show a little bit more depth. A little bit of artistic style there. Similar to how, you know, lines here. Lines also here. If you want the shadow darker, you can use more lines or color it in. With this one, I wanted to do some mixture of blending. So as you can see, if the light source was coming like this, you can actually see how up under the chin right here, because it goes, I wanted to show depth here. So I made some lines here. And then as the light source is coming here, this area up under the arm, you can also see how the lines are here. And as it goes lower, the way light tends to sometimes get blocked as it's going downward, hitting other areas, I added some here. Sometimes you can also add lines in areas that technically the sun is hitting if you just want to show depth and add a little bit of artistic flair to it. Sometimes, like, you can break your own rules as long as you make it look good. No one's really going to notice all that much. No one's kind of going to care. For instance, like, look at the hair. If you were to technically follow like the rules of how light would, this area is actually would actually have light shining on it. But I decided to add some lines to it just to give the hair a bit of style. And since it looks good, people tend not to really look at it and be like, oh man, that's not right, that's not right. Like, sometimes you can get away with things if it looks good enough. Now, I'm not encouraging people to go like crazy willy-nilly on breaking certain rules of appeal and look, but this is art, so you can do what you will. Let me grab another example. So this is a manga page. As you can see, like I said, to show depth, like if you look right here, I made lines here just to show a bit of depth. Where else? Then you have this picture here. I just made, some of these are not shadow lines, they're just lines in the fabric just to show depth, which technically it all falls in this along the same thing. You're actually trying to make something not look flat. Not make it look, trying to make it not look 2D. I added some lines here, like this part right here, just to make it not look flat. And then as he was kneeling, you can see right here, up under his jacket, I added lines right here, just so it didn't look flat. Even close to the ground, I added some lines here on his clothes, just so it doesn't look flat. You can also do it on people's faces. You can, like I said, you can also break rules and not actually treat it as if a light source is hitting it. You can just start making lines just to show depth. For instance, like you've seen in anime and manga when people look really angry. I can actually sketch an example of how the difference can look. Let me grab another piece of paper. So, let's say you have a guy and he's angry looking. He's angry. We're gonna do two of them. So this is also what I meant by breaking rules. Sometimes you can use these lines to show depth, and they actually they not only show depth, you can also use them to show like a further intensity, to add some artistic flair, or just make something that would normally seem a little maybe a little boring or a little bland, make it seem a bit more intense. So say this guy's angry. Nose. Alright, let's draw the same thing down here. So what we're doing, we can shortcut a little bit here. Okay, just about done here. Alright, so like I was mentioning about those lines can not only show depth, but they can also show intensity, and this is how we're going to play that out. So you have the top of the brow. You can just draw some like nerves, arteries, whatever you want to call them. And basically you would almost follow the same thing. Same thing. So, similar to how you see lines, you can do a crosshatch. Or you could just do one set of lines, single hatch. Go ahead and draw his eyes in. You could also make it dark solid parts. So I drew like different styles on here, but let's just say we decided to make it all one style. So I'll erase within this, then the dark parts. Then I'll just show you what it will look like if you did a double hatch. So take that same idea, we'll combine things, like I said, making an outline for the area that you would want to do. I'll admit, this lesson is kind of going all over the place. It originally started as how to just show depth on clothes. It's been a while since I've made a video, like years, so I'm kind of trying to get back into the swing of things. Yeah, I've got more ideas for lessons. When it comes to doing this on a face though, I'll admit, you might actually want to not make the line area, because then it'll look like a scar. That's why this looks like intensity, and then this actually looks like a scar. So I've got an idea. So we'll go slightly outside the line. Alright. I'll just go ahead and erase the guideline that I had made, well, the fence for it. So by erasing the edge of the fence, some of the stuff is actually going away with it. So instead of just doing it on clothes, you can do it on a person. And the face to show intensity. And if you compare and contrast them, the one with the lines added in between and under areas looks more intense. But sum it up. Yeah, this is what it looks like when I actually plan it out properly, or actually think about it before I just throw something together. Trying to see if I can find anything to reference off of before talked about lines on the face. show intensity. There you go. Have right here, in between areas. All right, so that's one lesson out of quite a few more that I'm gonna start making. When I said I've got a list of them, I actually, even though I hadn't been making any over the years, I'd still been writing some down. So like I said, this one is a basic steps to showing depth in line art, like darkening corners, and I say actually darkening corners and edges. All I did this time was show you how to do it by lines. I'm gonna do a intermediate lesson, which will actually talk about doing it in slight corners of where people crease their arms. But I just wanted to do this beginner lesson to, number one, warm up into me creating videos again, and to start off with something light so you guys could practice on. Some other videos that I have planned to do. One is about contrast, basically drawing and it's about contrast, like using whites and blacks and darks and lighter colors and mids, and to avoid using the mid-tone or gray tone, so you can avoid that gray tone overload that people tend to do. I don't know where they got it from, but it kind of looks crappy in my opinion. Then there's going to be a further lesson on the speed effect lines that I had made, which is probably one of my most viewed videos, except the advanced lesson is going to be about using double speed effect lines. So it's going to be after an intermediate lesson about them, where you can do two kinds of speed and effect lines, and then there's a way to combine them to actually make something look even faster. And I'll just stop there because I don't want to start rambling. All right, you guys, you know, like I say in almost every video, what is it? Live bravely, live blazingly, live gracefully, and keep on drawing. See you later.